Hi, this is Tricia. Welcome to my channel. Today we are going to be making this really cute card that has a little bowl of fruit and sweets. This card uses the Ice Cream Swirl bundle. This is a photopolymer stamp set and a coordinating die set, and this is in the new January to April mini catalog, and this will be live in just a few days, starting on January 3rd, I believe, 3rd or 4th. I'll take a look and link that below, but you can see that this bundle is even featured on the front of the catalog. But I wanted to share another card idea that was inspired by one of the samples in the catalog where instead of a full ice cream cone, they made it into like a little ice cream dish. So we're going to be doing lots of stamping and die cutting. There's a lot of steps to this card, but I wanted to really showcase a lot of the different elements from the stamp set and the die set. So you can see we've got some like a little donut or something, and fruit and cherries, a little straw, or I suppose that could be like one of those cookies, like those Purine cookies, ice cream cones, really cute. So let's go ahead and get started. All right, let's start with our stamping. I've just got a 1/4 sheet of basic white, and most of my stamping for our focal point elements are going to be in Memento because we're going to be coloring them with Stampin' blends. So let's do, the first stamp I have is the ice cream cone, which we're not even going to use most of it. So I'm just going to ink it up like the top section. I have a die that cuts out this ice cream cone, but because I'm turning it into a bowl, I'm stamping it off the edge of my paper, and I will just hand cut that, and I'll just cut the bottom part off and turn it into a bowl. So that's all I need to do for our bowl. I do need all of the fruit and little elements. So here's my cherry. We're going to do that twice. Okay, and then the strawberry, and we'll do that guy twice. One of these little donuts. I just did one of those. And then our little straw or cookie or whatever this tall skinny thing is that sticks out the side. Okay, what else do we need? Got all those pieces, and we need our Yum Yum Yum, and that is going to be done in Melon Mambo. So the stamp says Yum Yum, and I'm just going to stamp it twice because I want it to be 3 yums. So I'm just taking my Melon Mambo and stamping that twice, and we'll just hand cut those out. All right, while I have my ink out, I think I'm done with the Memento. I'll put that away, and I'm going to bring my card base and another panel in that I'm also going to do some stamping on. So let's look at my sample here. I've got little confetti all over the background, and then on the strip of Melon Mambo, I have thanks. So for our Melon Mambo strip, we're going to take the thanks stamp that's in a script here, and I just did it on a diagonal. It's actually easier for me if I make my paper go at a diagonal, and I'm staggering it so that the word starts in a different place every time. And I am just repeatedly stamping that all across my paper. And I know it's a lot of stamping, but it goes pretty quick, and it does not have to be perfect. It does not have to be lined up exactly right at all. And I do just try to, especially the T, that big tall T, I'm just moving that to a different spot each time so that it looks a little random. So that's my paper. And you can see I had my grid paper behind there because I was going off the edges all the way around. we're going to be using our blends for all those little elements that we stamped. So let me find my dark Melon Mambo blend. I have that out already. So what I did was just take my my brush tip and I just kind of ran one little line down the side. It doesn't have to be perfect. And because we've got background stamping on both parts of the card, if I show you the sample again, it just is going to provide some definition between this part and the card base without having to put another layer there. All right, and then on the inside of the card, I'm going to use that Melon Mambo ink also, and I'm going to use the thanks again. And we'll just stamp that right on the inside of the card. Thanks. And then there's another little stamp that says for everything. Thanks for everything. All right. Now let's switch to our Flirty Flamingo ink because we're going to do more tone-on-tone stamping. We'll keep our card front closed, and there's a stamp in the set that is just a bunch of little sprinkles or confetti, and I'm just going to randomly stamp that all along the edge of the card front. Just rotating a little bit every time to kind of fit everything in. Again, this is mostly going to be in the background, so it does not have to be perfect. It's just nice and quick. And I only need to do the two sides. And along the scored edge, it can be thinner because we're going to put this off to the left side like that. So you just kind of put that on there, make sure that it's all good and covered, and that's our background. All right, so we're done with our stamping. Let's get started on our coloring. Let me zoom you in for that part. Make sure I stay in the frame here. And I'll show you what I did for the coloring. So I used Balmy Blue, light and dark, for my little bowl. And I'm using my brush tip, and I'm just swiping some color into the bowl. And you can see I'm not even going all the way out to the edges. That's the light. Then I'll take the dark, and I'm going to start at the edge of the bowl and flick color in. Then I'll do the same thing on the other side, start at the edge of the bowl and flick color in towards the middle. And I'll do the same thing at the little base of the bowl here. Then I'm going to switch over to the bullet end, and I am just going to run a little bit of the dark Balmy Blue right along that lip and the bottom edge. I'll go back to my light Balmy Blue and just blend out those edges. And I really don't even care if there's like a little bit of white highlight showing there, that's okay. And that's all I'm going to do for the bowl. So I'm done with my blues now. Since I have strawberries and cherries, I wanted two different types of red or pinkish. So I'm using Melon Mambo for the strawberries, and I am using Sweet Sorbet for the cherries. So I get more of a pinky red and then more of a red, tomatoey or bright red. I do also add a little bit of Flirty Flamingo for a highlight. So I'll show you how I do that. All right, for the strawberries, I'm going to use the Melon Mambo. I'll start with the light, and I'm just kind of putting, you can see on the strawberry there's an extra line on this left side. So to me, that's like a shadow line that the artist has put in there. So I'm putting a little bit more color on that side and then a thinner strip of it on the right and a little bit under the leaves. and I'm leaving a white highlight. That's just my technique. You certainly don't have to do this. You could color it all in solid and it would look great. I am going to put a little light Daffodil Delight into that highlight. It looks crazy right now, but trust me, it'll get better. Then I'm going to go with my dark Melon Mambo, and I'm going to go along the outer edges. You can use either tip for this, whatever you're more comfortable with. And then I'm going to flick a little bit more in, again, on that shadowy side. So go around the outer edges. So I've got a little darkness all around, but I want to flick a little bit more of that dark color in on the left. Now I go back to my lighter color, and I'm just going to go over where my darker and lighter colors met. I'm still not covering up all that yellow. And now I'm introducing the Flirty Flamingo. So the Flirty Flamingo has a little bit of like a yellowy undertone to it. It's kind of peachy. So when I cover that whole spot with the Flirty Flamingo, it's going to give you what looks like a nice bright highlight on the edge of my strawberry. And I'm not concerned that you can still see some edges. To me, I still think it looks good. Okay, so that's my strawberries. I used Old Olive for the stems, and I am using the bullet tip, putting light Old Olive all over the stems because they're so tiny. You don't have to add any shading, but I've got the dark right here, so I'm just going to literally dot in at the base of these leaves, just a little hint of the dark. Probably won't even notice this on the finished card, like might be a step you don't have to take, but all right, so there's my strawberries. Now let's go to the cherries. So for those, we're using light and dark Sweet Sorbet, and I'm going to use that Flirty Flamingo again as my highlight color. So same process. I usually start with the light, not the highlight, but the light, and I've got that shadow line down here. So I'm going to make that kind of the thicker edge. And then right here where the stem comes out is going to be like a divot, like a pit in the cherry. So that's going to have some darkness too. So I'm making a little circle kind of, right? And same thing here. It's not an exact science, but that's about it with my light Sweet Sorbet. Now I'm going to go with my dark Sweet Sorbet, and I'm going to tap in right into the pit where that stem matches, and then along this edge, and just a little bit on that edge with just the tip of my brush. Along that edge, a little fatter on that edge. And I find with Sweet Sorbet, there's not nearly as much differentiation between the light and the dark as there are in some of the other colors. So now I'm going to fill the rest of this cherry in with the light Flirty Flamingo. And then I'm going to take that light color, flick a little more of that in, because that was just a little too dramatic of a highlight, and then use that Flirty Flamingo to blend that little bright spot again. Okay, so our cherries have a little dimension, right? They have a little bright spot. They look kind of round. That's what we're going for. Same thing with the strawberries. As they're drying, I am noticing that there's a little bit of a harsh edge there. So I'm just going to go over it one more time. Sometimes you kind of have to wait and see as it dries how it's going to look. The light color will blend the harsh edge away a little bit. So I just went in to hit that again with that Flirty Flamingo. You could use a brown or whatever for the stem. I happen to have these Old Olive markers sitting here, so I'm just going to put Old Olive in. It doesn't really matter. Now, for my donut, I am going to use my Daffodil Delight, And that Flirty Flamingo again, just kind of keeping some consistency with this underlying Flirty Flamingo color, since I have that as my card base. So let's take the light Daffodil Delight, and I am going to color in 2 of these stripes, like alternating. And then the light, or let's go to the dark. I'll go to the dark Daffodil Delight. You can use either end. I'm using the bullet tip here, and I'm just making a little dark spot along the edges of the donut ring. And then I'm going to also do it in here on the edge of the circle hole in the middle. A little darkness on the edges of that stripe, and same thing there. And this one doesn't overlap that circle hole, so I'm not putting that in. Okay, then I'm just going to lightly feather in between the dark and the light using that lighter blend. Let's do the same thing with the Flirty Flamingo. So let's color these other stripes with the Flirty Flamingo using the light. You can use either tip. And then in the dark, I'm gonna, at the edges of the donut here, I'm gonna put some darkness. So all the way around the outside edge, and then all around this inner donut hole also. And again, I'm just tapping a little bit of the light color on to blend out any harsh edges. All right, last but not least, we have our straw. And I did some Daffodil Delight. I am going to use the bullet tip, I think, on the straw because it's so tiny and thin. And what I did is I went up both sides of the straw, and I left a white strip down the middle in the same spot. It's about, halfway through, I think. And I'm doing my widest stripes in the Daffodil Delight. And then my tiny skinny stripes. Let's do Melon Mambo. I think that's what I did for that. So the light Melon Mambo, same thing. I am using my bullet tip, and I am putting some of that light in. You see I'm leaving a little white dot. Now we'll put in our shadows. So the Daffodil Delight with the bullet tip, I'm just going to run a line along either side. That's all you gotta do. And you'll barely see it with this Melon Mambo, but I'm gonna do it anyway. I'm just putting one little dot in this tiny stripe at the outside edges of the straw. This other stripe I wanted to leave white, and anytime I want something to be white, I just put a little gray, this is light smoky slate, along the edges to create a shadow. And then I use the color lifter to just soften those lines. And then your white stripe still looks like it has some dimension. Doesn't look so flat. So there's my little straw. So I have all of my elements for the front of the card all ready to go. I'm going to bring in my Stampin' Cut and Die machine for all of these pieces. For my Yum Yums, I am just going to cut them out with my scissors. So let's do that part first. Just using paper snips, you can use whatever you want here. And I'm getting pretty close to the words, and I'm just making straight rectangular word strips. So there's one. There's one. And I only need 3 of them. So you could save that other yum for another time. Oh, I am going to fussy cut this. I forgot about that. So let's separate that from my die cut pieces. And I'm just cutting right on that black line rather than leaving a white border, because I want to cut off the bottom part that makes this an ice cream cone and make it look like a bowl. And I will show you a little tip. If you do ever want to cut something right along the black line, and this I'm just eyeballing. I'm just kind of cutting a little that has a tiny bit of curvature to it, but hardly. It's pretty much straight, and it really doesn't matter. And then I'm going to take, this is a little tip. I do this all the time. I'm going to take my Stampin' Right marker, and I use the brush tip, and I hold it like this with the point toward me, and I am just going to run it along the edge of the paper. That'll make it look like this was stamped as a bowl the entire time. The more you angle it, the wider your line will be. You can also, when you're cutting something out, you can also go along your cut edge, and if you made any mistakes where you have a little white paper showing, it'll just make that a more crisp cut. So you've got a little bowl instead of an ice cream cone. All right, now let's bring in our Stampin' Cut and Die machine. I'm going to zoom out so you can see what we're doing here. And I've got all of our little pieces of our dies. So I've got this little donut, I've got the cherry, and the little strawberry, and the straw. We'll have to run it through twice because we have 2 of the strawberry and the cherry. Actually, let's do it like this so that they're... Did I put those too close together, or can I do it? See if that works. Hold it nice and tight so it doesn't shift. Crank that through. So I have all my little pieces. And my little straw. And then all I need to do is run it through one more time to get these last 2. You could use a little Post-it tape or any sort of like low tack tape to hold these in place so they don't shift if you want, but I just kind of carefully put it on there and keep it pinched tight. Okay. Those are our last 2 pieces. Get our machine out of the way. And now we can start assembling our card. Oh, the other piece I didn't show you yet. The other piece that I die cut before I got started is this really pretty shaped and pierced circle. This comes from Thoughtful Expressions dies that are also in the new mini catalog, and I'll be featuring them at a later video. But they have all different sizes of these really pretty scalloped, or not really scalloped, but decorative circles. All right, so let's find, where did my little bowl go? Put him off to the side. First thing I'm going to do is just glue this Melon Mambo panel right onto my card base. And I kind of did that off to the left side. And then I want to put this on my Melon Mambo panel with some dimensionals. So let's grab dimensionals. I like to cut mine in half so I don't use quite as many. I think I did 5 halves, so it's just 2.5 dimensionals. I'm just going to place that probably closer to the top and making sure that it hangs over that pink strip a little bit on either side. By the way, this Melon Mambo strip is 3 inches by 5.5. I should have mentioned that. Now we're going to start building our little bowl of goodies. And I'm just going to put 2 halves of a dimensional in the middle, making sure I'm not along the top edge because I'm going to be tucking the fruits down in there. So there's going to be lots of dimension on this card. You've got dimension behind this white shape and then some dimension behind the bowl and the fruit also. Now, I am going to arrange all of my fruits and everything the way I want them. So I had this kind of popping off to one side. Let's put a strawberry in front of there. And a cherry over here. Just kind of set it up however you like it. Tuck another strawberry down there. And one more cherry in the front. Just so it looks like a good bowl of yumminess. There, that looks about right. So the 2 things that are in the back, which are the donut and the straw, I'm going to just slide out carefully and use some liquid glue for those. So I have my liquid glue put into a fine tip bottle here. Just makes things a little easier sometimes. So I'm going to hold on to all of these and just carefully slide that back in. And I'm using some reverse grip tweezers. These are not the Stampin' Up! Tweezers because I've had these in my stash for a long time, but Stampin' Up! Does have a pair like this that are in the embossing kit. So I'm just gonna slide this back behind. Oh shoot, I got a little bit of, got a little bit of that liquid glue on my paper, but I'm going to let it dry and then I'm going to use like a adhesive eraser and get that off of there to clean it up. All right, this strawberry, I have a dimensional on there. I think that was my problem. That was what I bumped into with that thing. And I'm just going to set that off to one side. And this strawberry, I think I might make that guy go flat too. Put a little liquid glue behind there. Have him higher up than the other one. And we'll put a little dimensional behind this cherry, a half of a dimensional. And this one, so this one's in the front and this strawberry is already on dimensionals, but back here I do need a little dimensional behind there. So I'm going to put a dimensional right here on my paper. That way I know I can cover it. I want my strawberry or my cherries kind of rolling in different directions here. We'll go like that. There we go. Okay, and my yum, yum, yum goes down the side. I can get rid rid of my liquid glue because I think we're going to do dimensionals for these also. And a half of a dimensional fits perfectly behind here. So let's put all of the dimensionals on the backs of these. And I just kind of, whoops, make sure they're reading the right way. I kind of let them go a little wonky so that I didn't have to worry about them being lined up perfectly. All right, so that is, oh, the last step I did, that I forgot, was just a couple more. Oh, I gotta clean my stamp off because I'm going to use this confetti stamp again that we used on the card front. I'm just going to use my chamois to clean that so that I can switch to the Melon Mambo color. And I just did a little confetti on either side of my greeting there. So my card. I think all we have left from the sample was a couple of little gems. Let's find those. So I have glossy dots in the glossy dot assortment and also the in colors. I guess the assortment is my matching colors, right? That's the ones that I want to use. So let's find the small little daffodil one and small little, I think this is balmy blue, close enough. Put another daffodil one up here and then a little Melon Mambo back there. Just an extra little sprinkle of color, picking up, so I didn't even need these in color ones, I just grabbed the wrong pack. But that's just a sprinkle of color to pick up on all the colors that we used in our fruit. So now, if I have clean hands with no ink on them, if you don't have an adhesive eraser, it's a very nice thing to have in your stash. You can get it just on Amazon or at Michael's or any art store or anything like that. And I'm just going to peel that glue off the paper so that we don't have a mess. There we go. So there you go. There's our beautiful, fun, festive thank you card that utilizes the ice cream swirl bundle that's in our new mini catalog. It's one of my favorites. I feel like I make birthday cards all the time, and this is good. You could make this adult friendly, but also kid friendly with the ice cream. The other really cute thing about this, which I'll try to feature or show some cards, is the die for the ice cream cone is actually 2 cones with a score line down the middle, so you could fold it and make like a shaped ice cream cone card. And it also has a really beautiful layered ice cream swirl that goes on the top. So this is the stamped version, but there's also a die cut version of that too. So really fun. I'm going to have fun playing with this. I do have one other sample I made with this, just to show you. So this is, I stamped the cone and the ice cream swirl in colors rather than stamping the memento, and did sort of a no line coloring look with the blends, and just featured a different sentiment. Hope your day is sweet, and a couple of those cherries that I tucked in. Really super cute. So I love this set. I hope you guys enjoy it. If you want to give this a try, it'll be available in just a few days when the mini catalog goes live.